Alright, it's day 1 of 2025, and we've already got the biggest joke article of the year that'll insult your intelligence, even with all the brain cells you lost celebrating New Year's. The Bleacher Report recently released an article titled, Predicting the 25 Best Athletes of the Next 25 Years, and let's just say, this list is full of issues. In fact, it's an absolute disaster.
Why?
Because in trying to paint the WNBA in a positive light, it just makes it look like a charity case. And before you say, well yeah, the WNBA is a charity case because the NBA funds it, and you'd be right about that, the league has some serious momentum with the rise of Caitlin Clark. And it's garbage like this, and pretty much whatever comes out of Sheryl Swoop's mouth, that is setting the league back. I mean, yeah, number 2 on this list makes sense. But number 23? Oh, just wait. Okay, let's get into it. But first, like this video if you already know who number 23 is. So right off the bat, there's a huge issue with the title of this article. Best Athletes of the Next 25 Years. The title itself suggests that we're going to be looking at athletes who will define their respective sports for the next quarter century. You know, the ones who are the best at what they do across a variety of sports, not just the biggest names in North America. So, you'd expect to see a diverse list of athletes from all over the world, right? Instead, this list is overwhelmingly dominated by North American athletes, and that's a major problem. The lack of international representation, athletes from tennis, soccer, football, and other major sports from outside North America is glaring. The title of this article might be Best Athletes, but the list itself is more like a biggest stars of North American sports. But even with this in mind, the list is a joke. It has 4 women's basketball players on the list. Are you telling me that 16% of the best athletes in the next 25 years will be women's basketball players? I don't think so. Okay, so who made the list? Let's start with the one who obviously makes sense. Caitlin Clark, who landed at number 2. Now, number 2 might be a bit high, but you cannot deny her proven impact on the WNBA and women's basketball. I'm not even going to go into her record-setting college career. Let's just focus on the WNBA. She was Rookie of the Year. She set the single-season record for points by a guard. She set a single-season record for assists. She led the Indiana Fever to the playoffs for the first time in years. She was a first-team All-Star. She was 4th in MVP voting. Share these facts with the haters. It'll trigger a tsunami of tears so large it'll reach Kansas. But beyond the stats, there's her impact on the league. 1 in 6 tickets sold were because of Caitlin Clark. She accounted for 26.5% of the WNBA's economic activity. Her games were by far the most watched. Arenas sold out. Merch sales were through the roof, with her jersey leading the way. Her impact is so great that players decided to renegotiate their collective bargaining agreement because they know because of Caitlin, they're getting more viewers and driving more revenue, and they want a piece. Not that they'll ever give her credit. That clip never gets old. Anyway, when Bleacher Report places Caitlin Clark at number 2 on this list, it's actually an understatement of just how important she is, not only for the WNBA, but for the future of women's sports as a whole. So, there's no debate here. Caitlin Clark deserves her spot, at least in the top 5. She's an athlete who has changed the fortunes of the WNBA for years to come. But what about the other 3 women's basketball players on this list? I've got to start with number 23, Angel Reese. Bleacher Report thinks that Angel Reese will be the 23rd best athlete in the next 25 years. Okay, I'm not saying Angel Reese is a bad player. She had an amazing college career, led LSU to an NCAA championship, and got a lot of double-doubles. She has her lane. But when we're talking about the best athletes of the next 25 years, let's be honest. Angel Reese does not belong on this list. I mean, will she even be one of the top 25 WNBA players of the next 25 years? When you look at her overall performance and compare it to Caitlin Clark, it's not even close. Angel Reese shot just 39.1% from the field in her last season. That's no bueno. Sure, she's talented, but her numbers just don't stack up to someone like Caitlin Clark, who has been absolutely dominating her competition and setting records in the process. And Bleacher Report itself apologizes for Reese's poor shooting percentage, saying that while it wasn't great, her talent is undeniable. Let's stop right there. The whole reason Reese is even on this list is because of the media-driven rivalry between her and Caitlin Clark. We all know it. The only reason Angel Reese got any media attention this year was because of the trash talk against Caitlin Clark and how the two were painted as rivals. The media has pushed this narrative nonstop, even though Reese's numbers don't reflect the same level of performance as Caitlin's. Reese is being propped up as one of the best athletes in the world because of media buzz, not because of her actual stats or impact on the game. The truth is, Without Caitlin Clark, Reese would not be in the same conversation. Sure, she had a great year, and her LSU team did win a championship, but she doesn't have the same star power and doesn't move the needle like Caitlin does. I've predicted that this rivalry will die after the 2025 season because the stat disparity is going to get really bad for Angel Reese, to the point where it'll look foolish for the league to advertise it. They want it to be like Bird versus Magic, but really it's more like Jordan versus Dennis Rodman. Caitlin versus A'ja Wilson? Sure, that makes sense. They will be in the same statistical ballpark. Speaking of A'ja, she was not on the list. Now, on the surface, this isn't really much of a surprise because I don't think anyone thinks she's going to be talked about as one of the top 25 athletes of the next 25 years, but statistically she's so much better than Angel Reese. A'ja Wilson is the reigning MVP and one of the best players in the WNBA. If you listen to the Sheryl Swoops of the world who complain every time Caitlin wins an award because there are better statistical players in the league, then I fully expect her and all the Caitlin Clark haters to pipe up and complain that Angel shouldn't be on this list. Leave a big red X in the comments if you know they'll never complain about Reese's inclusion. But this isn't where this joke of an article stops. At 14, they've got Juju Watkins. Now, while 14 is probably too high, her inclusion on this list may be valid if she breaks Caitlin's NCAA scoring record and then brings Caitlin Clark-level hype to the WNBA. This could lead to an incredible rivalry with Caitlin that would further elevate the league. In that sense, I get it. Not at 14, but I get it. And then they put Paige Bueckers at number 16. Does she have the potential to be an elite WNBA player? Absolutely. But to act like she's anywhere near Caitlin Clark's hype, interest, or fandom is ridiculous. Sure, she's got the Nike signature shoes, but A'ja has signature shoes as well, and I don't see her on the list. She's had a great college career, but to put her on the same list as someone who's already changing the sport is premature at best. And that is where, while trying to hype up women's basketball, make the WNBA look like a charity case. Honestly, only Caitlin should be on this list. Juju could maybe scrape the top 25 if she amplifies the momentum started by Caitlin. Putting players on the list who obviously don't belong screams that the writers are trying too hard to be inclusive when really, there's only one straw stirring the drink in the WNBA. Thanks for watching and subscribe my channel.